Welcome to Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. We are at the house today and kind of as a reminder for us of when we hunted here last year around Thanksgiving. We've got 14 acres and you can kind of see behind us here that there's a lot of wooded country here, but it's still 14 acres not too far outside of the city of Iowa City. And it was kind of a fun hunt. We struggled a little bit, I would say.
I wouldn't say it all went exactly according to plan.
No, but it was an interesting experiment.
Yeah.
Since then, we've had a couple of houses spring up in the area where some of our deer were traveling through, and they're still here. There's no doubt about it. But we got distracted with hunting at the farm, and Jordan's been laid up with an injury, so we didn't hunt here this year, and we probably won't before the season's over. It's kind of fun to be able to look out the back window and see all these deer. But speaking of which, I guess we've lived here for a little over 3 years. And during that time, I've probably seen 1,000 deer. I'm sure a lot of them are the same ones over and over. But it's nothing to see 7 or 8 or 9 deer out the back window of the house or the back of my office. And during that whole time of those 1,000 deer, I'd say I've seen probably 4 bucks. So the opportunity rate, if you're trying to kill a buck, is pretty low here.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Do you think that ratio, that distribution of bucks to does is consistent throughout this area? Because there's a state park and there's public hunting and stuff not far away. I mean, you're probably 6 miles from the lake, maybe, probably less than that. But do you think that this whole area tends to suffer from not enough bucks? Or is it just like this specific property?
I think it's just right here. I think they've got to be somewhere because every year we see fawns.
Right.
So these does are getting bred. So there's bucks somewhere. Maybe the buck to doe ratio is, 1 buck to 15 does or whatever,
yeah.
But there are bucks here. They just aren't showing up. And I'm sure if I ran trail cameras, I'd find some at night.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a challenging environment and it was fun. And maybe we'll do it again sometime. But like I said, it's also pretty cool to see these deer out the back window and not have them disturbed. So we're going to take a break now. When we come back, I'm going to talk about my biggest challenge on the farm. Like going into the next part of the season, what is the biggest issue, the biggest problem that I have to solve in order to be successful? And if you've been following the daily videos, you realize that I've really been struggling there. And I've got kind of a reason why that is, and hopefully I can come up with a solution. And then Jordan's going to talk a little bit or tell us a little bit about what she's been doing, an update, on her injury, and then, where she's at in the whole process. Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails is brought to you by Redneck Blinds, Code of Silence Apparel, Hunt Stand Pro Whitetail, Fuse Accessories, Elevate Tree Stands, B3 Releases and Broadheads, and Hoyt. So as you've seen on the daily videos, my biggest issue with this farm is being able to get to and from the spots that I've been hunting without the deer knowing. And that's going to continue into the late season. In fact, I have to be even more careful because the margin for error during the late season is a lot thinner than it is during the rut. During the rut, you've got that kind of a continual mix-up of the herd. Bucks chasing does, deer moving. When they fall back into those really tight feeding patterns, they become really sensitive to any kind of pressure.
Do you think that has to do with the fact that they're tired and hungry and just kind of frazzled after the gun season too?
Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah, they get more and more wary. We've seen that, through the years, that bow hunting the late season, no matter how good your setup is, unless you own thousands of acres, the deer are way more alert and way harder to fool. And they're all eyes, all ears, all nose. And
head, shoulders, knees, and toes?
No, just the other ones.
Just the other ones.
You can't beat the other ones. You can beat the head, shoulders, and toes, but they're onto you real quick. So you can't make mistakes. So I think that I've got to be a lot more patient, first off. I can't go just up to a food plot or go in someplace and hoping for the best. I have to make sure that there is a buck there that I'd be willing to shoot that's on some kind of a daylight pattern, so that every time I go in there, the upside is better.
Almost like it's an intentional, like the risk, you've weighed the risk and the potential reward and the potential reward outweighs it on that day for that setup, instead of just we'll go in and sit and see if we see something.
Yeah, because the rut, you can get away with that because they're moving around a lot more, but now they're going to be on so much narrower patterns that you just don't have that ability to say, well, maybe tomorrow will be better. Because if you mess it up today, there's going to be no tomorrow. So you got to make each day really count. So I got to be a lot more intentional about where I go and when, but also I have to be more careful about how. And that's the part that I'm really struggling with, because in that hill country, you don't have a lot of options. You're either climbing the bluff or you're taking one of the trails, and the trails are pretty limited. The biggest challenge is just getting into these spots and back out of them. And I'll spend some time thinking about it. I've got to be a little bit more careful. Maybe you got to take the long way, come up the bluff, on foot rather than, riding up it or even walking up the lanes. The problem is it's all bedding area. All of these ridges are deer bed everywhere. And, when there's snow on the ground, especially, they can see you moving. It's going to be tougher. So anyway, that's what I'm up against. And that'll be the backdrop for what I do here over the next few weeks once I start hunting again.
I was gonna say, is there anything that you can do, like land development wise, to make the entry and exit easier next year, like planting more cover? Or
it's gonna be tougher to screen it because of the fact that they're looking down.
Right.
But what I think we can do, and I will do, is just make it thicker. Even that bedding area that everybody looks at, when I'm going up that bluff on the trail, they think, oh, they're seeing you. I mean, we sat on the edge of that back in early November in a tree stand, and you cannot see through that. I mean, it's thick as, it's like hair on Bentley. I mean, it's thick. So that's what you can do. You can just make the whole farm really thick so that when the deer are bedded in those spots, they really can't see. And everybody assumes that because you can see up, that they can see down. Well, they're bedded, their heads are that far off the ground.
Right.
So if there's thick cover that far, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So if there's thick cover, they're not seeing you coming and going.
No.
And the other thing about that too is when the wind blows, it makes noise moving through all that brush. So they don't even hear you as well. That's what I've got to be looking at now. You can't just go deer hunting. So my hunts are going to be a lot less numerous, but they should be more precise, more timed, because again, like I said, the margin for error is so low. So that's late season hunting. I mean, even on this farm with all this food and hopefully not very much gun pressure around me, these deer are going to be super wary and hard to kill. So now it's Jordan's turn. What happened to you?
I got a grade 4 stress fracture in my left sacral ala, which is basically kind of where your lower back connects to your pelvis. It was just running. I didn't have any indications that that anything was wrong. It just kind of snapped in the middle of a run. And this is my 5th stress fracture. The other 4 were all in my tibia. So it was kind of unexpected, kind of disappointing, because running was going really well and I was really enjoying it, and I was starting to get faster than I've been previously in my life. But bones heal, it'll heal. So it's hard for me to be up on the farm now because I'm not supposed to be walking, but also the only exercises I can do are swimming and stationary bike. And so I don't have either of those up on the farm. I mean, I could always run up there, but I can't do the other stuff. So,
well, and the other thing too is, she was out prior to that with a shoulder separation.
Yeah.
And then just as that was starting to heal, where she could draw her bow again, then the stress fracture came on, and that's really limited, obviously, Jordan's hunting time. You hunted one time and you couldn't draw your bow.
Twice. Didn't we go to
we went to that blind.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's hunted twice. And then once she realized that she couldn't draw her bow, then what's the point of,
Yeah.
I mean, and then shortly after that, it was the stress fracture, and then, so that leaves us where we're at. So hopefully, maybe with, a little bit of luck here, she can be back some point during the late season and sit in the blind and eat Dots pretzels and have the heater going and
provide commentary and emotional support, or
all the things that we need.
Yes, that's my role. But yeah, it's it's annoying because I'm supposed to be on crutches right now, but that's only for another week or so, and then just starting the rehab process. So
Yeah.
I'll be back running and walking and hunting
Yeah.
soon. So
But yeah, I appreciate all the prayers and
yeah,
support
thank you
for Jordan.
to everyone who commented or sent prayers and well wishes. I do really appreciate that, and it's going well. It'll recover just fine.
So that's where we're at. We're looking ahead now, and I think Ethan and I and maybe Jordan are going to make a run out to Nebraska, possibly here in the next few days, and do a little bow hunting out there. And we'll continue to bring content. Wednesday we're going to have another whitetail watch, so look for that. And then every time I hunt, I'm going to have a daily video, and we'll continue to see how it goes. I know it's been interesting for people to follow along and see how ineffective my hunting has been. Hasn't been that much fun, really. Well, I shouldn't say that. I still love to hunt. I mean, I love the quest. I don't have to shoot stuff to love hunting.
and I feel like I know what I learned last year, because we sat in that blind on that food plot for like 30 days, I think.
Yeah.
Like seriously, it was like a month straight without hardly seeing anything. But then when I did shoot my first buck with a bow, it felt a lot more important and earned, and it just made I wouldn't have appreciated it as much if I had shot a buck on my first ever sit.
Yeah, I mean, if it's too easy, don't gain the satisfaction from it. So, and this farm definitely isn't too easy. So we'll have plenty of satisfaction.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you right back here again in another week for the next episode of Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. And remember to always dream
Big.